Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I'm delighted to have our guest, Amanda Buse, with us. She tells you how you can turn your most natural gift into your strategic business advantage by teaching you how to sell, network, and lead with the true, quote, go-giver you are. And we got connected through Bob Berg, which I'm excited to, hear and learn more about you. So welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us, how you got to be where you're at today. I know that you're a go-giver coach and you talk about sales and all that fun stuff. How did you get to be where you're at today?
So I do focus mostly on sales and networking and leadership for women entrepreneurs, mostly in creative type businesses, but not exclusively. How I came to that was I answered a one ad for a woman who had her own coaching business a few years ago, and it was kind of a really great apprenticeship. Really, I started on the sales side of the business. I went into coaching also, and that's where I found my real passion for coaching, because I had years ago I gotten certified to be a health coach, but there wasn't a huge focus on sales, and at that time I was very afraid of sales. So it was
Like
really
many are. We will need to dive into that later.
For sure. So, but that's how I got started. She worked with women, and what was happening was I was having these amazing phone conversations with women from all over the country in all different walks of lives and businesses, and just hearing their stories of a little, some struggle for sure, but just their ability to persevere and overcome and show up and still look for help and wanting to get better. That was the whole point of seeking out a coach. So their stories really touched me. And then obviously the pandemic happened, and then that position sort of went away. So I decided, I'll go for it on my own, and I want to continue this work. And Bob Berg had been instrumental in actually me going for that job. I read his book, Go Give or Sell More, and it was just eye-opening for me. So it gave me the confidence to go for that job. So when that job ended, I contacted him and became a go-giver coach and speaker. And I've been following that path and sharing that message combined with what I've learned along the way. And it's a beautiful combination.
And for the listeners that do not know what we're talking about, Bob Berg has created multiple books, but he's probably most known for The Go-Giver. And then the second kind of the sequel lead, follow up to that is Go Giver Sell More. So if you have not checked those out, definitely, I've had Bob Berg on here before, so you can definitely go check out that episode as well. But such juicy stuff. And it's just a different way in which we do business, right? It's a powerful way of, leading with love and curiosity versus going for like a hard sell, if you will. So Amanda, tell me, in this journey, in this path, what has been kind of your biggest maybe mindset challenge, barrier, or block that you've had to overcome in this journey to get to where you're at today?
Well, it was really strange, because for years and years I was drawn to sales for the freedom of it. Even when I was in corporate life, that was outside sales was a way to get out of the office and, make my own schedule and that. So I was always drawn to that part of it. And I was really great at relationship building and, doing all the fun stuff and doing the presentations and all that. But then when I got down to the close, I kind of froze up. And so I wasn't very successful at sales for like 15 years, no matter what path I went down, because I felt it started to feel like slimy and car salesman-y and it just didn't feel good to me. So I didn't want to do it. I resisted it. Um,
Let's pause for
so
a second because I don't think you're alone on that. I think actually that's kind of the, kind of the average person. I've seen that in my own clients where it comes to sales. So we were talking before we hopped on here, kind of a great partnership, because it's like, we go into that place of, getting a client on the phone. We're great at this. We're great at connecting. We're great at serving. And then we go down to the close, and it's like, and everything kind of breaks loose. Let's unpack that for a moment. Like what was playing through your head at the time? And I know everyone has their own little stories, but like, what was it for you that would just kind of implode on that sale?
I wasn't conscious of it, obviously, at the time, but looking back on it, I felt like there was, there was some shift where we were having polite conversation, and then all of a sudden it felt manipulative. And I
Okay.
was in my head about, the only reason I'm talking to this person is because I want something from them. And that didn't feel good to me.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
of course I didn't want to do that. And that's not the kind of person I am. And none of the women that I work with that struggle with the
No.
same kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that was the biggest thing.
That's interesting. Yeah. And so, and again, like that little story that can say, oh, now I'm manipulating this person, or I am trying to get something from this person versus, really showing up and serving. And, this conversation comes up a lot with some of the clients that I work with. And in the sense of, I talk about, the sales process is kind of like a relationship, like, right? Like you're nurturing that relationship. And I think sometimes we think that one conversation, we're going to turn this person into a sale. And I say, yes, we have kind of like a sales funnel, but those we're going to have some people that love us and say yes to us, and it's like easy peasy. And then sometimes, I know that I hired a coach one time, and I was kind of in a courtship relationship with her for 3 years before I was like really ready for her services, because her services were so specialized. And I wasn't, I needed to get my business to that place where it was going to benefit me in the business and make it really, beneficial. But I think so often that we, go into that place, and then it's like, okay, what are the stories that are coming up for us that get in the way of really truly serving, and especially with, kind of the back frame of the go-giver, right? The go-giver sells more, concepts and principles that really, put both people at ease. And it's not just again, some people are in our sales funnels for years, because they need to know, like, and trust us. And sometimes that's years for folks, and so as I'm telling my clients, I'm like, these people are going to be, you're going to be have, potential prospects in different stages, and it's continuing to, love them and nurture them, and they're not going to all, be one and done's, right? So it's really about the relationship.
It is. And I'm so glad that you said that about nurturing the relationship and having, a lot of it is about setting expectations when you're going into a
Mhm.
business. So that's one of the expectations that you do need to have, in my opinion, because yes, if you're doing your job correctly, you're supposed to be building trust with your potential clients and customers. Like that's part of your job as
Mhm.
an entrepreneur, if you want to have any kind of reputation. And what I'm seeing is, this trend of, if you're not going to buy right now, then, you know, why not? I see so many high pressure
Mhm.
salespeople like making their prospect justify why they're not buying and why they're not
Mhm.
showing up for themselves, and why they're not doing this. How is that helping a person?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I it really bothers me because I was taught so many of those sales strategies early on in my career, and it's like those are the things that never felt good to me. Those are the things that I didn't want to do because they've been done to me, and I know how awful that can make you feel.
Mhm.
So when I read Bob's book and he had this whole different perspective, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only person that feels this way, and
Yeah.
apparently you can be successful doing it another way.
Yeah.
So it is, you definitely have to nurture because people will only buy from you if they trust you. if you haven't built that trust,
Yeah.
and trust can happen in a moment, but if
Yeah.
you're not making the effort to do that,
Mhm.
then why are you there? You're not serving anyone.
Mhm. I actually had a call just this week, and the lady was like, "Yeah, I'm not ready. It's not timing is not good." And I said, "No worries." I said, "Can you come in and I invited her to a free call that I do weekly, and it's like I'm just inviting her to come and play in the sandbox with no commitment, and that way she gets to know me, she gets to experience me, and then who knows what the possibilities open up to that, you know. But it's an easier. It's like, no, hey, I get that, and I do things a lot differently. I follow the energy a lot. So I test energy. And that's been kind of how I built my businesses with more ease, is just like following the energy. And so I always tell people, like, most of the time I'll get a no out of the gate with somebody. And it has to, timing has to shift in order for it to be a yes. And so I'm always testing, and I teach my clients how to do this so that we can be in the flow of that. And it just makes things so much more easier, where it doesn't have to be like a force or a push in doing so. But I'm curious for you, um, what made the flip? How did you flip that? How did you flip and flip the switch for that, mindset that was like, okay, I feel salesy. I feel, like I'm pressuring. I feel like, I'm manipulating. What did you do to really flip that switch and create a different story?
Well, for me, it was with the woman that I was working for in her program, I was able to see the evidence of the good work that she was doing and the person that she was and the team that she had built around her. So I really bought into that, and I knew that it was helping people and serving people. So when I got on the phone on those sales calls, I had conviction about what I was selling. I knew that it was my responsibility. If I saw somebody that was a fit for this program, it was my responsibility to offer it to them. And if they can't do it, no problem, obviously no pressure, but I at least had to make the offer because, like I said, I was having all these conversations with these amazing women, and being able to help them get to the next level was just, everything. So being in an environment like that was really what made the switch for me, along with, the go-giver work. And it was just, it is a mindset, and it wasn't like overnight. This was a high ticket program. I had a lot of stuff, all of my stuff came up whenever people would talk to me about they didn't have the money because of, their spouse would say no, or, all of those objections. Like, I still had to work through all of my stuff because of my history, that I was bringing to the calls. But it's a process. And when you really believe that you have something that can help people, it makes all the difference in the world. Everything else can be worked out from there. But when you come to it with a heart to serve and knowing that you have value to offer people, that's the game changer.
Yeah. And I think that's brilliant that you said that there was all this other stuff that came up. And I've said this on this call before, is that when you become an entrepreneur, like everything that we've ever ran from, hid from, avoided, will get brought up in the process. And that's the personal growth that we maybe don't realize that we're signing up for when we sign up for our own business, but it does come up, and it is a personal journey. But you know what? I think it's so powerful that we do our personal work, because we can relate to that client. We can relate to that situation. We can relate to that objection. We're like, yep, I've been there. I've done that. I remember one time I hired a coach, and at the time, which I felt like it was a lot of money at the time, it was $27,000 for this coaching program. And at the time I had this like limiting belief going, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And how am I going to come up with it? And I figured it out, right? Because I was like, you know what, if I'm going to play big, I gotta have that coach that is at the next level, that's going to, work with me at that level. And so I was able to be like, you know what, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know, but I'm just going to, trust that the money's going to come. And it did. And it really was a game changer in my personal, career path. And it's powerful. It's powerful when we can, recognize that this is the stuff that's coming up. And these are old programs. These are unconscious, most of the time unconscious programs that are coming up. And it's an opportunity, I feel like, for us to work through those, because once we do, it's like I feel like we start to get closer and closer to understanding how powerful we are, and how divinely guided we are in this process. And that's where the magic happens, in my opinion, is when we do that deeper work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mentioned before, because I think if I had been working in my own business at that time on my own behalf, I probably wouldn't have done the work, to be honest with you. But knowing that I was
Great
accountable to
point.
her,
Mhm.
that she was like my coach in that sense too. And so I wanted to deliver for her. And it was, just I kept practicing, I kept showing up. And, because I knew that the close was the most difficult part of the sales process for me in the past, that was something, and I teach my clients about this, you practice that part, and you practice it and practice just
Mm.
whatever part is bothersome for you until you can feel comfortable delivering it, and you won't believe it right away, you won't, but you just practice your delivery, you keep going, and then when people buy, even if you're not 100% bought in, and even if you're a little wobbly in the close still, when people still go on to buy because they've seen the value, you've demonstrated the value as it relates to them, then it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I do have something here. And then that's validation. And you get another sale and another sale. And then before you know it, there is no more mindset stuff showing up. You're just showing up, making your offer, doing your job, and serving people. It's very simple. It's not
Yeah.
easy, but it is very simple.
I think that is such gold right there, because I think so often we expect it to come the first time. And, like you just said, it's like it takes practice, it takes tweaking, it takes repetition. And once we do that, we get that first nugget of like, okay, I got a yes. Perfect. There's a great book out there, Go for No. And it talks about like going for the no's, because statistically, the more no's you get, the more yeses you will get, because it's just part of the process. And I love how you just said that, like where it's, you get one yes, and then it's like, oh, the brain goes, oh, wait. And there's like, what happens in the brain is like there's like chemical release, that there's like some endorphins that get released, and it's like, oh, that was exciting, that was fun, like let's do it again. And that's what keeps it going. And I love that, it just builds upon one another. And folks that I've heard in, that are incredible at sales, like that's the process that happened. It just takes time. And I think some of the research out there says it takes us 50 times to do something to really become master of it. And so it does require time. But once we do it, it just gets easier and easier and easier, but we just have to stick with it. So what, besides what you just shared, because that's so yummy, any other tips, tricks, or strategies that you've used to really help support yourself, either in the mindset shift or just, kind of stepping into your power and leading with, your greatest gifts?
So, what I think is, I feel like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, for me, it's all about intention and then focus. So you have to start everything with, what are you looking to get out of this conversation, whether it's a sales call or whether it's, a networking event. What is your intention? And then really having the focus of, okay, I'm going to focus on this one person that I'm having this conversation with, or, these 6 people that I've just met at this event. I'm going to make that my focus, but not on what I can get out of that, not on me getting that sale or me getting a referral from this person, but what can I get? What's the value now that I know something about this person? What's the value that I can give to them? Because that's how it gets started, right? Not only is that a good way just to live life, but it also creates a reciprocal effect. If you do something good, if someone does something good for you, you want to return. Somebody holds the door for you, you want to do the same for somebody else. It's that kind of thing. So when it comes to, really anything, it's just having that intention. Like with, if I'm getting ready to do a sales presentation or speak publicly, just taking the time, a few minutes, 3 minutes before, just to get centered and quiet. And there's great little 3-minute meditations on YouTube you can listen to in your earbuds, and then just go. But being centered, really reminds you that the person that you're about to interact with is a mother, a sister, an aunt. Treat this person how you would want people to treat them in the same situation. And it's that grounding, and it allows you to clear out the clutter and all the noise that we all have in our heads all the time, and go in clear and be present with the person. And that's because, to me, and Bob says this too, Bob Berg, he says that all sales is, we think sales is one thing, but all sales is figuring out what somebody wants and helping them to get it. That's it.
Mhm.
But if you're not listening, if you're not present, if you're not able to really hear what they're saying, you don't know what they want. So you can't help them get it, and you can't really help, you can't serve them. So intention and focus are kind of my fallbacks.
I love that. It's a great reminder because I love talking about intentions, and I think there's such power in what you just said in saying take that 3 minutes. There's 3 minute meditations. There's just stopping and taking 3 minutes of deep breathing, right? Like it just is powerful when we can reset and go into it with the intentions of serving. And how can I serve this person, and who knows what might happen as a result of that. So powerful things come in that collaboration and that connection. So this has been delightful. Thank you so much for sharing your awesome wisdom, Amanda. And where can people connect with you and collaborate with you further?
Sure. So smalltowngirlboss.com is my website. Everything is there. As soon as you go on there, there's a freebie. You can get your Girl Boss Goody Bag. I've got some little goodies in there, some free resources. So pretty much everything is there. And thank you, Teri. This has been such a treat.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Please check out her information. Go get her Girl Boss Goody Bag. That just sounds fun. It's like fun on the tongue. Um, and I look forward to staying in contact with you. And you have an amazing day.
You too. Thanks, Teri.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.